Hey gang, let's talk probabilities, because while this is a topic that I discuss again and again, I do so because, well, we always have new viewers, and so welcome if this is your first video with me. And I know that we have our regulars who have been catching these videos for a long time, and here's the bottom line. Directional bias is very important. Directional bias is going to put you on the high probability side of the market. Does it mean you're going to win every day? Not at all, but it means you're going to win more often than not when you look back on the probability of a week's worth of trading or a month's worth of trading. And again, let me reiterate, the path of least resistance continues to be up. This is going to affect the type of market bias that I have for daily time frames. We have the second of my red propulsion dots lighting up right now. We are lit up on that, which means the AEMA is in play today, and it's in play on Monday as well. Okay, so I will be willing to look for long opportunities there. On the IYT, I want to continue to look to the long side. On the XLI, I want to continue to look to the long side. On the XLV, I do want to look to the long side, but I'll be a little bit more selective about where I do, namely places like UNH, DHR, TMO, relative outperformers. So you might say, well, Rag, okay, I get how the directional bias of the index futures or the index ETFs are going to affect my sectors and then my stock, but how does this affect my day trading? Well, on the day trading side, let me talk about these intraday. Your relative outperformers, and in this order, are the Dow and the S&P. So please, when you're looking for long opportunities, when you're trading the SPY, DIA, QQQ, remember that please prioritize the YM, please prioritize that DIA. And when you see the S&P is tracking with the YM, and you should see clues because XLF and XLV should be tracking with YM as well, then you've got a good shot to look at the long side of the ES. So YM, ES, heavily weighted sectors within both, make the IWM, the RTY, meaning the Russell story, your third preferred long scenario. In fact, in many ways, if we have a long setup in the Dow, oftentimes I'll see the Russell track with it. But right now, Dow and S&P seem to be moving with a very healthy correlation. And so that relegates the NASDAQ to spot number 3. And you might say, well, how high is the correlation right now between the S&P and the Dow? Gang, it's 96%. They're very much in sync. They're very much in sync. So then you might say, well, Rod, how in sync are the S&P and the NASDAQ? In the mid-80s, around 88%, I believe, at the moment. So keep an eye on where the correlations are very, very high. Next thing is make the NASDAQ your least, in terms of priority, your least prioritized. Don't go focusing on the NASDAQ first for long positions. All right. Now, what does directional bias means? That means even when the clearing range breaks down, I'm going to pass on that. I give away this clearing range tool freely, but let me, again, directional bias overrides that. So even though we breached to the downside, by the way, that still worked. You know, let's say you said, Rag, here's our breach, there's our retreat, there's our target. That is very true. That is, and here it goes again. That is very true. But because directional bias is bullish, I'm going to focus on my V-score lows. I'm going to focus on those lows, and I'm going to usually buy calls in the SPY. And at the very conservative end of the range, get long ES contracts, and I'm going to look to the long side based on the V-scores. And that's really the path of least resistance as far as I'm concerned. Now you take a look at the day in total, and all of a sudden you realize, okay, these were nice small moves, but directional bias wins. All right, so I hope this walkthrough explains why we want to stick with the path of least resistance, even for day trades, derived from the daily time frame. Even if the clearing range breakdown indicates some near-term bearish momentum, use that bearish momentum to get in at exhaustive support levels. Take advantage of the directional bias. Today was an amazing grind higher. Love these kinds of days. They're gifts, right? We don't know what the scope of the market's going to be, but this is the way that I like to trade the market. Think about the probabilities, and I'll see you on Monday.